Pull up a chair and buckle up. It's the Original Strength BodCast. Hey guys, today on the show I am talking with Hiro Tahata. Hiro is a certified advanced Rolfer and somatic educator. And today Hiro is talking about Rolfing, Yielding, and Ma. Ma is a concept of space and time that they use in Japan that we really don't use the same concept here in the West. But Hiro uses Ma in a way to help people heal. So really neat conversation. There, it is visual. Hiro is using a slideshow, and so if you're on YouTube or even Spotify, this may be more exciting. But I think you can still understand it even if you're not able to see it. Now, we'll tell you halfway through the conversation, we have the help of an interpreter, Satomi. You'll start to hear her talking as well. As she's helping Hiro explain the concepts of yielding and Ma. Anyway, guys, pretty neat topic, fascinating to me. I hope you enjoy the show, and thanks for listening. Hiro, what is Rolfing, and what do you do?
What is Rolfing? Rolfing is a system of soft tissue manipulation and movement education. There are two parts.
And how do you use Rolfing with yielding and Ma, or what are all those things? Can you explain all of that for me?
Okay. Rolfing and yielding. So Rolfing process can cause meaningful structural, emotional, and spiritual change. But Rolfing used to have a reputation for being painful because some classical Rolfing-oriented practitioners have been working with intense pressure of touch. Now, Rolfing training has evolved to teach a broad range of touch, but still the basic touch is used with a certain amount of pressure as a tool for intervention. It is very important to note that some kind of people originally have sensitive skin and highly receptive sense to outside pressure of stimuli. For example, in traditional Chinese medicine, from the perspective of yin-yang, Wuxing thought there are 5 Zen syndromes or presentations. One Zen has a tendency to be in functional imbalance in the respiratory system. People with this presentation, roughly 1/5 of the population, have sensitive skin and highly receptive sense to outside pressure stimuli. Regardless of the particular gen, we may notice that there is a client who is sensitive to the pressure of touch, as in the case of rheumatoid arthritis, connective tissue disease, osteoporosis, pregnancy, etc. The practitioner should touch her or him in a careful way. The next inquiry arises: how should the practitioner work for those people by minimum physical stimuli? When I learned yielding in my Rolf movement training with Carol Agnissons and Rebecca Carey-Mills, it inspired me that yield might have a possibility to use a gentle and sensitive intervention for Rolfing practice. Yield as a movement means to settle or rest in contact. The Rolf movement practitioner aims to elicit responsive contralateral movement from the client. I thought that the higher the quality of yield, the higher the quality of responsive contralateral movement must be. Enhancing quality of yield seemed more like upgrading the operating system than trying out a different application of the computer. The cat has a great skill to yield his body to me. Susan Aposhian, certified teacher of body-mind centering, said, yield underlies all other developmental movements and our basic relationship to the world. Our touch can function as a safe matrix. The body starts settling in, interacting with the matrix. This procedure is related to establish basic level of rapport with the client in terms of a therapeutic relationship. Movement as yield is observed in the primitive behavior of the cell. The cellular movement of anchoring into the matrix is the action of yielding. Yield is essential movement for life. Basic yielding touch is put underneath the body to be scaffoldings, like that. After yielding, and then flattening, like this. So in the case of lordosis, yielding could help decompression on his lumbar. Then after yielding, then after further yielding. After further yielding, the body is spreading on the table, making more space inside the joints and decompress his lordosis and core space spontaneously. If the appropriate touch and safe surroundings are provided for the client, the body can start yielding automatically, as first needed process to reorganize itself. Since receiving the sessions, he has gone through winter seasons with no asthma attacks. This photo shows the result of 10 series with 80 years old male. The session was about 23 years ago. I was a beginner of Rolfing practitioner. I used the basic myofascial release technique for the client in the first to the 10th hour. He told me his sciatica and tinnitus has been gone after the 10 series, but he felt unfinished somehow. After 10 series, he asked me to have one more session. I gave him the prototype of yielding session. Then he, as well as I, felt a sense of completion after 11th session. The body looks more integrated after one more yielding session rather than just after the 10th hour. For the next, I would like to present yielding and ma. Action of yielding becomes a resource for feeling safe. Yielding means settle down, rest in contact, followed by augmenting parasympathetic nervous system and cell motility. All of these become resources to be contained. On the contrary, in order for effective yield to occur, the body system needs to feel safe in the surrounding environment. Perceiving safety through the body is the most great resource to be ready to change. While the body recognizes surroundings as safe, the system can allow itself to start a necessary process for integration. Yielding is not just about one movement. It's about giving the body system a sense of security. Yielding as movement underlies feeling safe, which is derived from mechanobiological pathway, not from nervous system. When the client and I, as a practitioner, could find a specific place that allowing settling into mutual comfort, the client could allow himself or herself to yield into the massage table with ease. Even if I remained in my position without making physical contact, I came to realize that the phenomenon is related to ma. Ma is a traditional Japanese concept that relates to both space and time. Ninya Svadra described the concept of ma like this, which relates to both time and space, particularly emptiness in space and intervals in time. I bring ma into the yielding work. To be summarized, when the body system of the client perceives the environment as safe, it starts yielding in the massage table as a safe matrix. Yielding can deepen the sense of security, vice versa. I propose that positional relationship with mutual comfort and settling in between the practitioner and the client, which is related with ma, is significant and effective to create safe environment for the session. I think this is based on primitive biological level of safety beyond the neurological one. Then deepening security of the environment could promote self-regulation and self-reorganization of the body system spontaneously. That's it.
Awesome. So now I have questions. So Rolfing is a way to create structural, emotional, and spiritual change in a person, but it can often be too forceful or maybe perceived as too much pressure. And yielding is a way to be more gentle to allow for more effective change in a person. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that yielding leads to responsive contralateral movement. What is responsive contralateral movement?
So responsive contralateral movement, really organized spinal movement and also contralaterality of the movement.
So like the gait pattern, like walking?
Yes, about walking.
So yielding helps the body actually carry out its design much better then.
Mm-hmm.
And yielding is it's not just letting go into gravity. It's settling because the body feels safe. So it's allowing the body to kind of decompress, get wider, get broader, more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Right.
And so yielding is a way then for a therapist to work with a client to make them feel safe enough so that effective change can happen in their body. Is that right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and also it needs scaffoldings.
Okay, so that their body can rest on its natural structures.
Yeah, when the body find a safe matrix, and then yield is active active motion,
Active.
not passive. Yeah, active.
Okay. And you can, according to your studies, you have actually been able, with the use of ma or space in between you and the client or the patient, you have been able to affect change without even touching a patient because you're allowing them to feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Safe, yes.
And so you can actually help a client regain, or better structural alignment just by being in the room with them, but not necessarily touching them also.
Yeah, for the sensitive client,
Right.
it happens without any touch automatically because okay, I will show you one example. I will show you the structural changes through the exchange work without touch in the workshop of Ma.
Okay.
So this is the exchange work in between the participants. So for example, before exchange work, after the exchange work. So you can see more space around the around the belly. This is after, more decompressed. 2 months later, I hold a workshop, the same subject before the exchange work and then after the exchange work. You can see the side-to-side balance is more different, more horizontal.
So she maintained the change even though there was no physical intervention.
Right.
That's pretty neat.
And also, I demonstrate the no-touch rolfing.
Okay.
In front of the faculty member of the Rolf Institute. So this is a session in progress, approach to but no touch. And then the model client has been changed before and after like this. And also she reported the experience, reflections, very deep experience of this session. So you can read the experiences from this QR data.
So
はい。
in that session with her, she was actually able to feel safe enough to let go of traumas in her body then?
in her body. Yeah, she had a really severe accident,
Wow.
so some improvement of that.
The body is always, to me, in my world, the body always is asking, am I safe? The body always wants to feel safe. And when it doesn't feel safe, it's very guarded and restricted, and it holds on to tensions and traumas and things like that. But what you have found is that you can use a way of yielding in ma to create safety for the person to kind of let go of those tensions and those guarding, so that you can actually help them uh, help their body heal. Is that how it works?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, for example, the position A prime is too close,
Okay.
so the client feels some tension, and the practitioner go back to this point, and also mutual comfort when the practitioner locate this area. So this is a good in between the client and the practitioner. And also the practitioner feels more centering or around the G center, and also perceive the space. This good gives a more safe environment.
So then, is there an energy between the practitioner and the patient then, like a mutual energy that they both feel and that they're both aware of?
So it's not about mutual energy, but it's about each individual's somatic senses for one's own. So for the client feels his or her somatic sense, and the practitioner also feels his or her own somatic sense.
So they're both having to have self-awareness to be able to understand how their body's feeling, with in relationship to each other. Like, depending on where the practitioner is standing, he has self-awareness of what he feels, and the patient has a self-awareness of what they feel, also based off of where the practitioner is standing.
Yeah, both of them are feeling their own somatic senses.
And so if the practitioner is aware that his body is uncomfortable where he's standing, then he already knows he's not having good ma, and he needs to try to find another location to stand that will allow his body to feel more comfortable, as well as the patient's body to feel more comfortable. Is that right?
Yeah, it's about both of them feeling safe and also at ease, and also fitting into the space. And it cannot be like one person feeling fine but the other person not, but both persons have to find those feeling that's safe and at ease and fitting in the space.
If physical touch is required for the patient, like for Rolfing to actually have hands on, do you use good ma to make different positions feel safer? Like, so if the practitioner has to start far away for the good ma to start allowing for safety, are they able to eventually get closer so that they can touch the patient in a safe manner?
That's right. That so first the practitioner finds the spot where the practitioner, both practitioner and the client are at ease and are safe. And then after a while, the space, the field changes, the quality of the space changes. So after the practitioner moves to a different spot, which initially wasn't so safe for them, but while staying at the safe spot for a while at the beginning, and then because the space changes, so then the other spot eventually also changes to the safe field. So the space is conditioned.
Awesome. So ma is about space and time. So we can use ma for space, but do you also use ma as far as timing goes for how you touch the patient, the rate of touch of the patient, and the intensity of the touch of the patient?
Yes, it's important that so working in a condition where there's less resistance from the client side or client system. So after waiting for a while at the right position, the whole the field changes. Then the practitioner can get closer to the client's system opens up. So the practitioner can get closer to the client, and then eventually the practitioner can touch the client. But it also has to be done in a way and the speed with least resistance from the client's system. So when the practitioner senses that the whole space or the setting gets a bit intense, then the practitioner withdraw, step back. That's very important.
So you're saying if the patient starts to feel less safe or has more resistance, the practitioner can then use ma again to create more good ma to reset the room to allow for more safety.
So it's not only about stepping back and wait to have more ma, but also the duration and the way the practitioner touches requires also good ma, I guess, in terms of time.
This is very fascinating. This is a weird question. So you can have ma in a room in space, and you can have ma in timing as far as rate of touch and pressure and intention, I guess. Can you have ma inside of a body?
So for Hiro, it's not about sensing ma inside of his body, but it's more when he does this work, he senses the feeling of hara, the lower belly, and that gut feeling, the belly feeling, is what navigate him in this work, rather than like thinking or brain operating. So the hara, the belly, is being used as sensor for his work.
So he is allowing his hara to guide his intuition versus trying to think his way to help somebody.
Slightly different. So when he is in a good ma, then he feels that like all his senses gathers around hara. So everything comes towards hara, and then his senses start to spread into the space.
So it's like he's like a Jedi in Star Wars, using the Force.
Contained and also expand.
How, if somebody wants to learn how to use ma and yielding to help someone else or to even help themselves, how can they learn this from Hiro?
So you can learn it maybe by comparing the positions, and you will need to have another person. And so in the previous slide, there was position A and position B, and you will get, so you will sense in yourself, and also you will ask for the feedback from that client's role person. And then by comparing which position feels better for both of them, then so by doing that, you should be able to learn to find a good spot. And very important point is the position is very unique in the relation between the client and the practitioner. So if the client changes, if you have different client, then the good position, good ma for both of them will change. That's very important.
So the best way to learn is to practice with different people and learn through experience of feeling the good ma with different people.
So he's experienced teaching those in workshops, and by changing the client and practitioners, the students or the participants learn different combinations. And then the more you practice, the students learn the quality and the feeling of different positions varies. So how it feels in a good position with this client and how it feels in a good position with other client, it's all different. So then gradually that sense of good ma will be cultivated. In some trainings, the instructor might the instructor might teach, so this is the perfect position, so you always have to start from here. But it's not like that. In this art, the practitioner, each practitioner learn to feel and sense what he feels in his body, and cultivating that baseline for like sensing and feeling and prioritizing that is quite important in this work.
So it's truly an art, and it is you practice enough where you start to learn and trust that feeling in your hara, where it's the absolute best feeling as far as where you are in relationship with the individual.
Yeah, you got the point.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. This has been really great and fascinating. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you for Satomi-san. She's a Rolfing colleague, and she understands ma and yielding.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Now get outside and play.